What if I told you that most people think they're great listeners, but they're really not? How often have you listened to someone while mentally drafting your grocery list? Or worse, prepping your epic comeback while they're still talking? Active listening isn't just nodding at the right moments or saying, totally. It's about hearing someone, not just the words they say, but the meaning behind them. When you actively listen, you don't just hear people, you make them feel heard. And that's where trust, connection, and great leadership begin. I'm Jim Mayer, and welcome to Work But Make It Human, a podcast where we discuss the people skills that make work, work. If you're ready to connect on a deeper level, communicate better, and lead with impact, you're in the right place. Today, we're tackling one of the most underestimated and underdeveloped, but absolutely essential leadership skills, active listening. So what is active listening? Let me start with this. We all think we're good listeners. I said that at the top. We nod, we smile, we say, But here's a hard truth. Most of the time, we're not really listening. We're waiting to talk. We're prepping our response. Or worse, our minds are already 3 steps ahead, thinking about the next meeting, our dinner plans, or if we remembered to take the chicken out of the freezer this morning. Active listening is the opposite of that. The term was first introduced in 1957 by Carl Rogers and Richard Farson. It's about listening with the intent to understand, not just to reply. Here's what it means. You're present and in the moment. Your phone's not buzzing, your email notifications aren't dinging, and you're not mentally drafting your to-do list while someone is pouring their heart out. You're all in, focused on the speaker, and you're listening for total meaning. Active listening isn't about hearing what someone says. It's about understanding the why behind their words. Are they frustrated, excited, nervous? Their emotions, how they feel, are often as important as the words themselves. For example, a team member says, "I've been working late every night this week." The words alone? Just a fact. But the tone, the body language, the way their voice drops when they say it, that tells you how they feel about working late. Pay attention to nonverbal cues because here's the thing. Communication isn't just about the words, it's about the body language, tone, and even what's left unsaid. So are their arms crossed? Are they leaning in or pulling back? Is their tone calm or shaky? Do they hesitate before they speak? Those are cues to understanding the complete picture of what's going on. Then, make sure you're responding thoughtfully. Active listening doesn't mean you're silent the whole time. It means you're engaged. You're nodding, maintaining eye contact, and giving verbal cues like, "I see," or "tell me more." When it's your turn to speak, you ask clarifying questions or paraphrase to ensure that you understand. For example, "So it sounds like you're feeling overwhelmed by the workload this week, is that right?" Or, "What I'm hearing is that you're frustrated with how the process has been going. Let's talk about that." Think about this. The best listeners you know, are they people you like, love, or respect? Probably. I'd wager yes. That's not a coincidence. Listening creates connection, and connection drives respect. When someone's talking to you, do you ever catch yourself interrupting because you, quote unquote, already know what they're going to say, or formulating your response while they're still talking, or zoning out because you're thinking about something else entirely? The answer is yes. Don't worry. You're not alone. We all do it. But here's the good news. Active listening isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. Let's compare that to how listening typically plays out in the workplace. For years, leadership was all about talking, not listening. Leaders were expected to know it all, to have all the answers. Listening was seen as passive, like you weren't doing enough if you weren't talking. We've all been in those meetings where someone says, "Let's open the floor for feedback," and you can practically hear crickets. Why? Because people don't believe anyone's actually listening. Traditionally, listening has been transactional, where I'll listen to you, but only if I need something from you. or interruptive, where leaders cut people off because they already know what's coming. Or a third option is surface level, hearing the words but ignoring the emotions and context behind them. And then there's the infamous preloaded response. You know the type. We're halfway through explaining something and they're already saying, well, actually. When we listen like this, we're not just missing information. We're missing a connection. And when people feel dismissed or ignored, they disengage. We've been conditioned to think great leadership is about talking, not listening. But the truth is, leaders who talk more than they listen miss the bigger picture. That's the way it's always been done, and it doesn't work. Active listening is all about seeking to understand before being understood. It's about valuing the other person's voice as much as your own. So, how do we practice active listening? Because it sounds simple, but it's not always easy, especially in a world where distractions are everywhere and our attention spans are shorter than those of a TikTok video. Active listening is a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. The good news is that small, intentional changes in how you listen can make a massive difference. Let's break it down into actionable steps you can start using today. Number 1, make the decision to listen. This sounds obvious, but ask yourself, how often do you go into a conversation with the intention to truly listen? Not to win the argument, not to offer a solution, but to understand. Active listening starts with a mindset shift. You're choosing to focus your full attention on the person speaking. Number 2, silence your inner monologue. We all have that little voice in our head that's constantly narrating. During a conversation, it might sound like, oh, I've got a perfect solution for that. Or, wait, how does this affect me? But here's the thing, when you're busy rehearsing your response, you're not truly listening. You're missing the nuances of what's being said. Number 3, pay attention to nonverbal cues. People don't just say what they mean, they show it. Body language, tone of voice, and facial expressions often tell you more than words themselves. So when someone is speaking, ask yourself, is their tone confident, hesitant, or frustrated? Are their words matching their emotions, or is there a disconnect? For example, someone might say, I'm fine, but their crossed arms and downcast eyes say otherwise. Active listeners pick up on these cues and respond accordingly. Number 4, show them you're listening. Listening isn't about what's happening in your head. It's about what the other person feels. They need to know that you're listening. And there's some ways that you can show it. A, use verbal cues. Simple phrases like, I see, tell me more, or that makes sense, let them know that you're engaged. B, ask clarifying questions. This shows you're not just hearing the words, you're trying to understand their meaning. And C, paraphrase and summarize. Repeat back what they've said in your own words to confirm you're on the same page. Tip number 5, don't be afraid to get comfortable with silence. Silence is awkward. I know that. I get it. But in active listening, it's super powerful. A pause in the conversation gives the speaker time to reflect, and it gives you time to truly absorb what they're saying. Instead of rushing to fill the silence, embrace it. Use it as an opportunity to dig deeper. Number 6, understand what they want from the conversation. Not every conversation is about solutions. Sometimes people just want to be heard. Before diving in with advice, ask, are you looking for input or do you just need to vent? And finally, tip number 7, reflect and improve. Active listening, again, isn't about perfection. It's about progress. After each meaningful conversation, take a moment to reflect. Did I stay present or did I get distracted? Did I interrupt or did I let them finish their thought? And did I respond in a way that made them feel understood? Over time, these tips will help you sharpen your listening skills and build those stronger connections. Early in my leadership career, I had a horrible habit. When someone would walk into my office, I'd keep typing away on my computer or glancing at my phone thinking, hey, I'm multitasking. I am super efficient. I'm listening. Except I wasn't. Sure, I caught the big pieces of what people were saying, but I missed the nuances, the emotions, And let's be real, most of the message. One day, one of my team members finally called me out on it. I wasn't just failing to listen to them, I was making them feel like what they had to say wasn't important at all. And that's not who I wanted to be as a leader. So I changed. And from that day forward, I'd close my laptop when someone walked into my office. I'd put my phone face down, and I'd look them in the eye and give them my full attention. And something amazing happened. People started opening up to me more. They didn't tell me what was happening. They shared how they felt about what was happening. We built trust, we deepened relationships, and my team got stronger and stronger. That's the power of active listening. It makes people feel seen, heard, and valued. I've created a free resource, the Active Listening Toolkit, to help you implement these ideas. It's a super simple tool to help you reflect on how you show up as a listener, identify those good listeners around you, and take meaningful steps to improve. You can download it now over at themfgconnector.com. Folks, next week, we're diving into emotional intelligence, what it is, why it's essential, and how it can transform your leadership. And of course, there will be another free resource to help you take action. All right, everybody, we've covered a lot today, from what active listening really means to how it can transform relationships and outcomes at work. Here's the bottom line. Listening is more than just hearing words. It's about showing up for people, creating trust, and making others feel seen, valued, and understood. Remember, leadership isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the one who listens when it matters most. Real active listening isn't something you flip a switch to master. It's a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. That's where the free resource from today comes in. It's packed with tools, tips, and reflection exercises to help you take what we've discussed today and turn it into action. Before you go, I have a challenge for you. Think about someone in your life, a colleague, a friend, a family member, who deserves your undivided attention. This week, make a commitment to truly listen to them. No interruptions, no distractions, no while scrolling on your phone. Just presence. I guarantee it'll change how they feel and how you feel too. If this episode has resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with a friend, a team member, or anyone who could use a little reminder about the power of listening. And if you're feeling super generous, head over to your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. Your feedback doesn't just help the show, it helps us build a community of leaders ready to make work better for everyone. And finally, don't forget to follow the Manufacturing Connector on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok for more insights, tools, and stories about making work human. Thanks for spending the time with me today. I'm Jim Mayer, and this has been Work But Make It Human. Here's the truth, folks. You're already a leader. Now let's make sure you're leading in a way that matters. Until next time, let's make work better together.